Tonight we are looking at a talking dog who learns how to speak after eating some alphabeti spaghetti as the pasta letters somehow travel to her brain rather than her stomach, which somehow gives her the ability to speak human words. Yes, it is Martha Speaks, the animated educational series that is based on the 1992 book of the same name. It first aired on PBS in 2008 and lasted for 6 seasons with 96 different episodes being made in total. So now that we have the background, let's take a look at a couple of episodes. First up we have Martha Speaks. So we see some professor as he explains we are about to see something incredible as he explains we are about to see a talking dog. He then walks over to the piano. He then compares a talking dog to a worm lifting a piano for some reason. The worm drops the piano as the professor explains that in the episode we will see speaking words as he challenges us to spot them all. So Helen is making some food for Martha as someone then knocks on the door. Helen invites Truman in as he asks how she knew it was him. Martha gets mad at Truman as Martha thinks a cat is coming over as Truman says there is a cat burglar on the loose in town. He then scares Helen as Helen tells him not to shout. She serves the food up as Truman shouts again. Martha goes off as Helen tells Truman to go home. He says he can't because he has a bunch of screaming babies at home. Helen says his mother works in daycare as Truman teases her about the burglar. They get into an argument as Truman asks why Helen is eating dog food. She goes to spit it out. Martha goes to eat the alphabeti spaghetti as Helen takes it back and swaps it for normal dog food. Helen asks why Truman is talking about the burglar as he says he is just expressing his opinions. Helen talks about the express bus for some reason as Truman says Helen is scared of everything as TD then bangs on the window. Truman gets scared as Helen says she is going out to play with him. Mom tells Helen to eat up as she then gives the food to Martha. So at night we see Helen's mom on the phone as Martha then starts to talk to her. She doesn't pay attention as Martha walks away. Dad is trying to feed the baby as he doesn't pay attention to Martha either. She then goes to see Helen as Helen is then confused on what she heard. Martha is trying to get into the food as the family are confused that she can speak. They go off as Martha tells them to be quiet. She says she will explain after dinner as she gathers the family around and explains that she could always understand humans. They ask how she has managed to start talking as she talks about the alphabeti spaghetti. The professor then cuts in and says it was the spaghetti as he explains it can create words as he makes up a random word. The professor then shows off what happened to Martha as he explains she is the only talking dog in the world and we shouldn't be giving spaghetti to our dog at home. So the professor tries to turn the TV back to the program as we then see Martha go around town talking to all the neighbors. Ronald says there is no such thing as talking dogs as Martha proves him otherwise. He gets scared as the family then orders pizza. They pull a prank on the delivery guy by getting Martha to open the door. I don't get the joke, but whatever, they scare them off as the pizza ends up on the floor. Martha eats some as she then gets on the phone as she orders something. It then arrives as the mom is not pleased that Martha is using the phone for prank calls. They block off the phone as Martha is then spilling the beans to Grandma. She then spoils the TV show and talks a lot during the night as everyone starts to get annoyed. She goes on and on as they tell her to be quiet. They say they wish Martha never learned to speak as the next day they are enjoying the peace and quiet. Helen goes to check on Martha as the next day at school Helen is ranting to TD, but she goes on and on herself as the teacher watches on. Martha then gives up the alphabeti spaghetti as Helen is playing with the baby. She spots Martha as Martha doesn't look at her and walks off. Carolina then turns up as she wants Helen to play. Helen says she can't as she has to look after Martha. Carolina asks why they are whispering as Helen explains. Carolina then shouts as Helen tells her off as Carolina is not sure what Helen is on about. Helen then catches Martha not eating her soup as her mom unties the phone. They call the vets as the vets don't believe they have a talking dog. Dad suggests going out for a movie as Mom says that is a great idea. Dad calls the babysitter as Helen tells Martha they're going out. She pours the soup away as Martha is left all by herself. The family go off as Martha is all by herself, so she is fast asleep as someone then breaks into the house. The burglar goes around the house as Martha tries to call the police, but since she can't speak the police get confused. The burglar doesn't care about Martha as he feeds her soup for some reason. So the family are coming home as they see the police cars. The police are arresting the burglar as the family can't believe Martha saved the day. They are all happy as they all forgive each other. They all walk off happy as the episode ends. Next up we have Martha gives advice. So TD is teaching Martha her lines as TD says Martha has to be more powerful in her lines. Martha doesn't get it as TD then suggests mumbling her lines instead. So TD is explaining to the teacher that a dog ate his homework as Martha then spooks the teacher. So at home Truman are listening to the radio as Martha doesn't like the show as she doesn't understand why people would want to hear other people's advice. Truman tells her to be quiet as Martha then mocks the radio. Helen calls Martha as she wants to know what to wear. Truman says it doesn't matter as Helen says she needs to impress Carolina. Martha says she already looks great as Helen explains Carolina said it's important to be fashionable. Truman and Martha disagree with Carolina as Helen begs for advice. Martha then suggests an outfit as Truman is confused on how she chose as he explains she can't see colors. So at the radio station, Carolina is listening in as Helen arrives. She turns around as she isn't pleased with what Helen is wearing. They head to the cinema as everyone is laughing at Helen. Carolina tries to defend Helen as everyone is confused on why Carolina is shouting. So at home, Martha hears the radio's telephone lines are open as she then calls in. The host is confused on her advice. The big boss storms in as he wants a word. Martha is scared for what he is going to say as the boss says she has great advice. He offers her a job as Martha then turns up to the station. The guy shows her the way as at the cinema Carolina and Helen come out as she suggests a makeover for Helen. Carolina says there is a big dance at the end of the month and that's when they will reveal Helen's new look. So Martha has arrived at her radio station as she falls off the chair. Carolina comes over the radio station as Helen thinks it is Martha on the line. So Martha is saying hi to the audience as she starts her own show. She gives out some stupid advice as we see people do it in real life. However, the listeners are through the roof as Helen is looking at herself in the toaster as she is worried she doesn't look like everyone else. Both her mom and Martha tell her to calm down as they say she looks great. Helen goes off as Martha says she needs to go to work. Mom is confused as at Carolina's the radio is on. Carolina follows Martha's advice as Helen still thinks she can hear Martha. Helen comes out in some new clothes as Carolina doesn't like it. They get into an argument as Caroline admits she doesn't like it. She says she wants something trendy as they go to a pet shop and get dog collars. Helen is confused as Carolina says fashion isn't about what you like but what other people like as she eats a dog biscuit. So the big boss says ratings are great as he goes to see Martha for the first time, but someone calls out for him so stops him in his track. So TD is dressed as a scarecrow as he says Helen needs to get ready for the big barn dance. Helen says she has nothing to wear as TD tells Helen not to listen to Carolina all the time as Helen says Carolina is right. TD says he is going as a scarecrow as he then reminds Helen of what he wore last year and how much chaos it caused. Helen listens to TD as he tries to make Helen change her mind. She knows what she wants to wear as they then arrive at the fair. They see Truman digging a hole and hiding his toy as everyone is copying what Martha told them. Helen is confused as someone is serving grass juice. Carolina arrives and says Helen is looking great as we then see everyone else has dressed the same way. Carolina then says Martha will be at the fair as they then make a huge announcement to show her off. Martha comes out as Helen can't believe it. Everyone is shocked as the big boss doesn't care. Carolina faints as Martha says it's important to be yourself. The episode then ends. Finally we have Martha smells. The professor introduces us to the show as he explains we will find out about some words related to our senses. Helen then butts in and says TD is copying her script for the second episode. TD says he will go fix it as the professor then says we will hear words about smelling as we get into the episode. So at some warehouse, some big baldy is introducing his board meeting as the other guy is not saying much as the big baldy is angry with him. The other guy then talks about how much money they have as he loses their last dime. They go to chase after it as it goes out the warehouse. It falls into the sewers as they say it is hopeless as they then suggest stealing the talking dog. So Martha is running with her disc in her mouth as TD and Helen didn't hear what she said. She says she wished she could have hands as Helen says dogs have many other things that humans don't, like great hearing and great sense of smell. So the gang play away as the bad guys are watching them. They set up a trap in the back of the van as it collapses on his hand. So TD and Martha are still playing as the bad guys are now eating lunch for some reason. The big baldy is not happy with his friend as the peanut butter rolls to the back of the van. Martha then smells it as a police officer then turns up. The big baldy is going off as the officer is confused. He says it is a no parking zone as Martha then sees the peanut butter and gets into the van. She gets trapped as the bad guys then drive off with her still inside. So Helen is wondering where Martha is as the big baldy still wants to trap Martha because he doesn't know what has happened in the back of the van. Martha is listening in as she can't believe she has been trapped again. She doesn't seem to pick up that the bad guys are after her as they drive around town. Helen and TD can't find Martha as Helen can't believe she would leave without saying goodbye. So back at the warehouse the bad guys are arguing as they don't know Martha is in the back. They leave her alone as Martha tries to get out the warehouse. The baldy is explaining his plan as Martha looks around the place. So Martha has phoned Helen to explain where she is as the bad guys then hear something. They ask if Martha saw anything on the way to her location as she says no, but she then confesses she did smell some stuff as she explains what she smelt. The bad guys look around as they don't find Martha as she goes to hide. Helen and TD are trying to find out which way Martha went as TD suggests the flower shop, as Helen then says the sausage shop. They ask if the guy has seen Martha as he says no. They then ask Martha what she smelt next as they go in the right direction. Martha has a great memory as she says she smelt something horrible as the bad guys then catch someone is on the phone. They pick up as TD tries to trick them. The baldy puts down the line as he says something is strange. He says someone is here as TD looks in the bin. He then asks to smell someone's baby as she runs off. So they are cycling around as they then smell the tip. Martha is still trying to hide as the bad guys then smell something. They suggest it is a dog as they then get into an argument about the trash bin as the baldy says the doctor has left a lot of mold in there. Martha is just sitting in there as she then starts to eat the trash. They take the trash out as Helen and TD then spot the doctor taking out the trash. He runs inside as they chase after him. Martha pops out the bin as they say Martha stinks. She eats up the trash as they then go back home. TD says they won't be as lucky next time as the episode ends. In conclusion, Martha Speaks was an alright show. I like that each episode had a different theme and it tried to use words relating to that theme to teach kids and increase their vocabulary. The stories themselves were very silly, but what else do you expect from a talking dog show? Martha was alright, but she does go on quite a bit and that would be my only complaint, but otherwise it was a good show. So thank you for watching. If you have any TV shows you like to see me do, put them in the comments.